Before we begin, let me emphasize that this course adopts the distinction between the conscious and unconscious mind, as proposed by Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Award winner and Princeton professor. Kahneman described the workings of the brain using the metaphor of two systems. System 1, which describes a faster but less accurate thinking, and System 2, a slower but more accurate decision making. System 1 is in charge of automatic thinking and feelings. It is also in charge of responses to unfamiliar situations, such as unexpected emergencies. It is also responsible for what we call intuition. System 1's responses are based on familiarity with the situation available at hand. The more familiar the situation, the more System 1 takes over from System 2 and responds in line with previous experience. In popular terms, System 1 is in charge of jumping to conclusions and is prone to many biases and errors. Kahneman refers to these biases as heuristics. System 2, by contrast, is the slower, more analytical and conscious part of the brain. System 2 is in charge of conscious thoughts, monitoring our behavior and self-control, paying attention to our actions and answering questions that cannot be answered by System 1. Basically, questions that cannot be answered to by drawing on previous experiences. We all think to be the masters of our own decisions and actions, and that System 2 is in the driving seat of our behavior. We believe that we can access consciousness at any time, make unbiased decisions, and understand the reasons behind those decisions. The truth is that most of the time, our mental processes operate outside consciousness, well beyond our awareness and deep into the unconscious. In fact, the mistaken belief that we can access our conscious mind, understand how it works and make decisions freely is called an introspection illusion, as introduced by psychologist Tali Sharot. In reality, within the psychology field, there is a complete agreement that unconsciousness is in fact in the driving seat of our behavior. In a nutshell, the idea that we can access the processes that trigger our decisions and the idea of conscious decision making are mainly illusions. In even more simple terms, most often than not, we have no idea why we took an action, even though at first sight, it looks like we consciously decided to take that action. At this point, some of you will already consider this statement as a bit exaggerated, but don't worry, if you are looking for proof, then watch on. Throughout this course, I will present a variety of studies, concepts and psychology experiments revealing the many biases and conscious processes that are influencing our decisions. In fact, after a lifetime of research in the field, Daniel Kahneman explains that automatic decision making, which is System 1, cannot be turned off at will, and biases are difficult if not impossible to prevent. He concludes, I quote, "This belief is not an option. You have no choice but to accept that the major conclusions of these studies are true. Priming phenomena arise in System 1, and you have no conscious access to them." Psychologist Claude Steele also points out, I quote, "One of the first things one learns as a social psychologist is that everyone is capable of bias. We simply are not and cannot be completely objective." Going back as far as Benjamin Franklin, he is quoted by Chablis and Simons. "There are three things extremely hard: steal, a diamond, and to know oneself." But my favorite statement is provided by Noah Yuval Harari in his book Homo Deus. "Attributing free will to humans is not an ethical judgment." So, without further ado, let's dive in.